Hi everyone, my name's Ned Lynch, and this is for University of Western State's 7445 class for the fall of 2017. Welcome to goal setting. Goal setting is my favorite mental training tool and to develop the skills to perform. Today, we'll be talking about the first G in my GRIT acronym. GRIT being goal, R being the regulation of self with breathing, and I being imagery, and T being self-talk. But the objectives for today's lesson, which is lesson 1 of 3 lessons that I would be giving to athletes on goal setting, the objective is to learn first the process. Then we'll increase in lesson 2 to the performance phase, discussing performance goals. And then lastly, the third lesson will be on the outcome goal or the dream. But first we'll be talking about the process. So today I'll be talking about what is a goal, the benefits to it, and then how do you set goals. I'll be using the acronym SMART, so remember that, because that plays into today's lesson. To get us started here for the overview, what is a goal? Well, a goal is what you want to accomplish. It's the aim that you're shooting for. It's the roof of the gym if you're in a climbing gym. It's winning the championship. But how do you get there? Well, there's a path you got to take. And the journey is what it's all about. As you see, I've got the Pyramid of Success from Coach John Wooden hanging in my office. I've got it hanging in my rock climbing area. And I want to take that and absorb it and let it be lived out through me. But it's more than just looking at the poster. It's actually studying it and understanding all the aspects of it. And the more I get into it, the more I see goal setting as one of his primary things. I mean, his first level of this pyramid up here is hard work and effort through goal setting. And then the whole bottom layer is about relationship, which is part of this video, is having a relationship with a class. So you can see who is this guy who writes all these long discussions. Well, back to what is a goal. The benefits, well, it increases your self-confidence. It can increase your motivation for continuing on the journey toward the destination, because if there's no motivation, then you're going to probably quit. Or if you get sidetracked because there's an obstacle in the way, or you have a mistake or error, or you're injured for any reason, then you're going to need that self-determination that comes through just that pure satisfaction from really wanting to achieve the goal. It's got to come through. Goals can boost concentration and composure. It can increase effort. It can transfer what you learn in sports, can transfer later on into life. As we know, the average lifespan, unless you're Tom Brady, is about 3 to 4 years in professional athletics. So the athlete has got to have the ability to transfer these skills to real life. Back to today's lesson about goals. What is a goal and the benefits? I could go on and on and on about the benefits, but I think the athlete will learn that they'll be able to just start to feel the benefit from doing goal setting properly. Now, I love setting goals, and I've got tracking sheets and performance metrics and all these things, but it's one of those things that you can't just do every day, and it has to become a mindset, but you can also become like real compulsive with it as well. So you got to keep it simple. And I know you're saying, hey, Ned Lynch, really? You got to keep it simple? How about not sending a 24-page paper on goal setting? Well, I have a lot of books and I have a lot of journal articles, and I went through them because this is the time in my life where I am building my bags of tricks, and whatever you want to call it. I'm gathering my strength to move on. to bigger things. And I want to take this to aviation, this mindset of sports psychology, performance psychology, if you will. Now, please understand, when you listen to me, that goals for me, it's either, John Wooden, we can talk about winning ball games and being successful, but in my profession, it's not about winning ball games, it's about living. So if you fail to live, then you're dead. So it's either you had a good day and you lived, or you had a bad day and you're dead and we're at another funeral. I've seen 3 fireballs of F-16s hit the ground. I've lost a lot of friends in this business, and this goal setting stuff is important because it's life or death in goal setting. So I might sound intense and I might drive some athletes away, but the number one employer of sports psychologists or sports psychology consultants is the Army. Now, I'm not wanting to go be in the Army because I'm already retired from the Air Force. But what I'm saying is this is important stuff, and what you're teaching athletes might save their life in a current war, because it looks like that's where we're going to be for a while. Okay, so back to the process. The process, you want to know why Nick Saban wins at Alabama. He dominates. Wherever Nick Saban goes, it doesn't matter what team it is. He dominates because he focuses on the next 7 seconds. Now, yes, he cares about the players, their dreams, and he cares about what just happened 5 minutes ago. But right now, in the moment, he wants the players focused on the exact process they're supposed to do. If they do the process, then their performance will reflect their process, and the outcome will be success, and they'll win the championship. But if they're focused on the championship right now in the moment, then they're not going to do the process. And if you're always focused on measuring the process through performance milestones, and you're focused on that, it's like me hiking and wanting to know how fast I'm going and looking at a GPS. No, you don't do that. You focus one step at a time. And every hour or two, you check your watch and you calculate your performance. So this mindset, this SMART acronym of M being measured, yes, that is a metric for performance, but that's not what you want to do in the process, because otherwise you're distracted from the moment. So what I'm trying to get at, and maybe I can demonstrate what I'm trying to say, is if you put myself up here on this wall, and I do twist and lock, if I have straight arms and I have quiet feet, now this is noisy feet. If I'm on my toes and I'm hanging by one arm here that's straight, and I've got my body twisted into the wall using my core strength, that is the process. And then I reach out and I move like I'm dancing on the wall using my core, and that is a process movement that's called twist and lock. Now I can keep on going up and up this wall, twisting, and then also you got to be able to do this movement. You got to be able to click into a carabiner while you're out of breath, your arms are getting tired. So if you do the process and you're not all worried about the performance, then your performance will come along and you'll hit the top of the cliff before you know it. I was rock climbing last year, about a year and a half ago. This is when I said, this is sports psychology, rock climbing. I was halfway up this wall at Auburn University taking undergrad courses in sports psychology. And if you focused on climbing, if you focused on the outcome, you were not going to get very far on that wall, because you would get distracted and slip and fall. So, and if you're worried about your performance, about how fast you were doing it, and I'm sitting there, 20 feet up in the air, I didn't really know what I was doing, I was like this, I was just kind of clunking along, and you're thinking about way up there 50 feet, and then you start breathing hard, and your arms are getting pumped out, and you don't have a process. I didn't have a process, and I didn't make it to the top. And as a matter of fact, I got scared of heights. And you can't say that pilots don't get scared of heights, because they can. So anyway, okay, so the process. I believe lesson 1, you teach the process. You teach the process of goal setting. And I believe if you take the integrated neuromuscular training, INT, which you're starting to find, that if you teach kids young, like 6 to 9 year olds, you teach them core strength, coordination, balance, agility, plyometrics, put them on some P90X, strength, speed, teach them fatigue resistance. If you teach those basic skills, not with a sport now, not teaching basketball or football and putting pee-wee kids out there, putting, the little pee-wee kids, that's what we call it around here in Alabama. You put, of course, here we are in Alabama, you start playing football here when you're in like 2nd grade. Okay, so you need to take 2nd graders and teach them how to balance, not how to hit. And so now when they get in high school, my local high school, half the kids are hurt all year long and they lose all their games because they don't understand that they need a process. And they've been playing football since they were in 2nd, 3rd grade, and now they all have ACL injuries because they weren't developed with the fundamental movement skills. So if you take fundamental movement skills, which they're finding in research, it's going to reduce injury. Matter of fact, they found in research 72% reduction in ACL injuries in female athletics alone in Canada. And matter of fact, Canada is really big into this now. Anyway, so if you take the process of the fundamental movement skills with goal setting and you teach people how to balance, how to do core strength. I'm not talking about going out and bench pressing 300 pounds when you're in 3rd grade. I'm just talking about teaching them basic strength skills. And rock climbing is one of the ways, by the way. Anyway, so back to the process we would talk about, talk about self-determination, and then get into the performance later on in lesson 2. Lesson 3 would be talking about outcome dreams. And back to the performance, this is when you would talk about milestones and basically how to set the SMART goals of being specific, measurable, attainable, action-oriented, adaptable, and the R being for realistic and relative, and then T being time-bound. But for the process, I'm saying let's just keep it simple and systematic. For M, let's just keep it down to the movement. How do you do the movement? I could be up here all day long. Hey, Ned. Hey, let's be smart about it. Be specific. I need you to, what's your, how fast can you come up this wall? Or how high can you climb? It doesn't matter how high I can climb. It doesn't matter how fast I can climb. It matters that I actually do the process right, the movement. And then A, being to teach anything to do with A, to activate the basic fundamental skill. And then we could get on into R, being realistic to the sport you're going to be in. You can look at my slides, is it trainable to do that process, and is it transferable? So I've got like 50 things for each one of these acronyms. But it comes down to the process. So the first thing I'm going to do with the athlete is not give them a long discussion about this. I'm just trying to see if you can understand what I'm talking about on the process, because that's what I want to teach them first. And then, master, being the M, master the process of the movement, and then your performance will come over time, and it will be great because you did the process right. Now, this thing's not going to upload, but quickly, I just want to show you that I'm authentic. I mean, I've got stuff hanging in here. I'm in here hanging all the time, building, doing pull-ups with, doing these sloper kind of pull-ups. And I got to take you up. I've got to show you my upstairs right quick, because this is about the process. If you can do the process downstairs on the vertical wall, then when I come up here in my attic, the process is, now I'm at 45 degrees. It's hard. You really have to twist in your core. And now you're using your strength and agility and balance. Now you got to reach up and you got to clip in here. And your hands are tired. They're hurting and they could be bleeding. And you've got to hook in here, because if you don't and you fall, you could be dead. So that's the process, that you've got to be quiet feet, straight arms, twisting your body in. And then you got to have the ability to sit here and find your rope. And you got to click in. And that's the process. And if you don't do that, and I do the process opposite, and I came up here like this, and I back clipped, then when I fell, then it's not going to catch me, it's going to unclip. So there's a lot of things going on, and if you teach athletes the process, then they're going to be like Alabama and win. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. See you in the next video on mental toughness.